Welcome to our annual press conference of the official implementers of Rail Baltica project in 3 Baltic countries. First of all, let me introduce our speakers of today. To my left, we have Baiba Rubesa, the Chairperson of Management Board of RB Rail. Then we have Arenijus Jackus, Director of Rail Baltica Coordination Department at Lithuanian Railways, representing Lithuania today. Agnis Driksna, Director of Development and Cooperation Department at Eiropas Dzelzceļa Līnijas, representing Latvia. And Riia Sillave, CEO of Rail Baltic Estonia, representing Estonian implementing body today. For your information, this is an international event, so therefore we are having this press conference in English. So please, when you have a possibility, ask your questions in English, and also all answers will be given in English. After the presentations, we'll have time for the Q&A session, and we'll have to have an equal right to everyone. We have a possibility to ask one question from the audience, and then I give the possibility to ask question for those who have sent in the questions in Slido or in our email. So let's then start I'm giving the floor then to Baiba Rubesa.
Dear journalists, dear colleagues, dear individuals on the video stream interested in the Rail Baltica project, let me welcome you to the Rail Baltica official implementers annual press conference, this time in Vilnius. This is a special event to share the project's progress last year and its implementation plans for this year with you. Throughout 2017, the Rail Baltica project has been replete with essentially positive developments. First, it is notable that all 3 Baltic governments and parliaments have ratified the intergovernmental agreement for the Rail Baltica project. It's a key milestone to demonstrate Baltic commitment to project implementation, relevant to many different stakeholders, the general public in the region, potential customers, contractors, industries connected with both construction and railway, and last but not least important, the European Union's Commission, our main investor, as well as Finland and Poland, are partners in Rail Baltica implementation. Second, Rail Baltica's global project's cost-benefit analysis, a study delivered by Ernst & Young and Atkins international experts based on EU CBA guidelines, proved that the project is financially feasible and viable, and its measurable benefits will outweigh the costs. The CBA gives the beneficiaries sufficient grounds to continue the project's development. Additional non-measurable benefits have also been identified, mostly of an induced and catalytic nature, which will inevitably contribute positively to the Baltic societies. Third, all our entities working as a team have managed to enter the design phase of the Rail Baltica project by the end of 2017. And fourth, in 2017, we submitted the 3rd application for the Connecting Europe Facility financing for project implementation, for which we have a positive decision at the European Union, and now we are in the grant agreement preparation process. It is notable that in the last CEF call, for the first time ever, the Commission has attributed additional funding of €19 million beyond national allocations, demonstrating the Commission's strong commitment to the Rail Baltica project. Entering into 2018, once the CEF3 agreement is completed and signed in the weeks to come, we will have ensured financing of €824 million, of which €683 million come from Connecting Europe Facility grants. Now let me dive into more details. The Rail Baltica project is divided into 3 phases before testing of the new line is expected to begin in 2025. In 2017, following the items for the planning phase activities addressed in the shareholders' agreement, RB Rail has made significant steps to finalize the planning phase of the project. As previously mentioned, last year in April, the cost-benefit analysis of the global project was concluded and presented to the general public at the first Rail Baltica Global Forum. This study underpins the financial viability and feasibility of our project. As requested for the planning phase of the project, the CBA provided the preliminary estimated costs of the project, €5.8 billion for the three countries versus a potential return of €16.2 billion in socio-economic benefits. In 2017, together with the study's supplier, Ernst & Young, we engaged in discussions on the study's results, particularly in Estonia. Let me emphasize that we appreciate individual research by individual NGOs on this topic. Nevertheless, we strongly believe in the study's results, prepared by internationally experienced experts who have done similar work in the past, following the European Commission's cost-benefit analysis guidelines. We're happy that the EU's Transport Commission has noted that the study is conducted fully in line with this methodology. But last year we also carried out different studies for the project, and let me highlight some of the key ones. Following a thorough tender process, we have entered into contract with Realistic and DB Engineering for the delivery of the long-term Rail Baltica Global Project Business Plan implementation. And by long-term, I mean 18 years. At the same time, work on the Polish-Lithuanian border to Kaunas-Palemonas upgrade feasibility study is in its final phase. Currently, we also await the Supervisory Board's approval to enter into contract with the selected suppliers for the operational plan and the rail-bound connection feasibility study in Tallinn. We also expect that by the end of this month, we will have selected the supplier to deliver the Rail Baltica infrastructure management study, as the tender proposals are in the assessment stage. In addition, we have several tenders in the final documentation preparation stage for diverse supplier market studies such as superstructure components or ERTMS signaling systems. Now, all of this may seem straightforward from an observer on the sidelines. But let me note that all of us sitting at this table and many others at the official implementing bodies and the ministries are on virgin territory, as we are all, for the very first time, implementing a project of this scale and complexity. We've learned that quite naturally, on many issues, the first vision of project implementation transforms as we address rather concrete project-related issues. It must be understood that this transnational project is not the mere series of national projects, but one with a global dimension that can be a major game changer for the region. Therefore, similarly as in previous projects, cross-border projects, like the Eurotunnel construction, the implementation teams learn by doing. We realize that many studies actually should have been executed before the preliminary designs were carried out in the Baltic States. Now, I don't mean to say that something is wrong now, but we do seek to ensure that the project implementation remains on the established time track, which means we need to retain focus and pace on all studies without causing substantial delays. RB Rail's overarching principle is that we seek to produce and receive qualitative products, the best possible for this publicly funded project. Therefore, sometimes tender processes have and could take more time for delivery of the project because we do seek the best expertise and know-how in the market, following relevant public procurement rules. Our aim is not to make sacrifices on project quality, but make it as future-proof as possible. In 2017, we have entered into the design phase of the Rail Baltica project implementation. So what does this mean? A major task is delivering design guidelines for the project. After engaging with detailed discussions at the expert level of all official implementers of the project, we finally have come to the last stage of completing this task. The supplier has delivered their final report to RB Rail, and it is going through approval processes, and we expect that with beneficiary approval, we could conclude this process by the end of February. Then there is consolidated preliminary technical design. RB Rail's technical team commenced work on it last year after receiving the first preliminary design materials from national implementing bodies. By the end of January, the consolidated preliminary technical design for the first sections in 3 Baltic states will be finalized to continue with the tenders for services of the detailed technical design. This essential task is about aligning 3 preliminary technical designs of the national states and looking for potential design improvements leading to construction and operational expense savings. And the first Rail Baltica Global Project Detailed Technical Design tenders were announced for the 71-kilometer section in Estonia and 76.6-kilometer section in Lithuania for the main line. By the end of this month, we will announce the 56.6-kilometer section in Latvia. It's actually important to highlight that before the tender announcement, RB Rail met 30 European, including Baltic railway design suppliers, to discuss their lessons learned and vision on the best railway design practice applicable to Rail Baltica implementation. And I should add that all international suppliers said they are not able to do the work without national suppliers involved in the process. Now, to successfully carry out our work with the studies in design, we had to strengthen our procurement capacity and build a transparent procurement system for all Rail Baltica tenders. In 2017, under RB Rail's leadership, common procurement guidelines and minimal criteria were defined according to national and EU normative requirements and international mega-project implementation standards. All the information was presented to the potential suppliers during the first Rail Baltica Forum, including common contract templates for all Rail Baltica tenders. The templates are in use, and everyone can assure themselves by reading our tender documentation online. The 3-person procurement team at the beginning of 2017 reached its maximum of 7 by the end of last year. In 2017, RB Rail announced 28 tenders, of which 21 decisions were taken, and 3 of them have been relaunched due to the fact that in 2 tenders the candidates did not qualify, and in 1 tender the proposed service fee exceeded the contract price. In addition, in parallel to their daily duties, the procurement team prepared an internal RB Rail system for the e-procurement system introduced in Latvia at the end of the year, and supported the national authorities with expertise on how to better introduce this system considering international participation in Latvian tenders. The set common procurement standards, contract templates, usage of e-procurement certainly helps us ensure a more resource-effective approach in the procurement process. Moreover, our work with procurement is based on transparency principles. Last year was key to engaging in dialogue with potential suppliers to build equal opportunities for all. For example, we organized Rail Baltica's first Industry Suppliers Day. We have published procurement newsletters, established a tender section in 4 languages on our website for transparent information accessibility throughout the Baltic. In addition to that, the new Rail Baltica website ensures information transparency by providing access to everyone for major project documentation. RB Rail has issued quarterly newsletters on current topics and created common social media accounts on Twitter and Facebook that clearly most of you follow. To address financial transparency, we've published RB Rail annual reports, grant agreements, and the full cost-benefit analysis report online. While we have already procured annual external audits as requested for a Latvian commercial company, we have also met with state auditors of the 5 countries in the Rail Baltica Global project encompasses. Unheard of for any cross-border project in Europe. We're also happy to report that the European Union's Innovation and Networks Agency, INEA, approved our first interim financial report on the costs incurred in 2016, noting that the CEF2 grant agreement 1.6 million cost is considered eligible. Now, equal to transparency, it is of high importance to ensure the prevention of conflict of interest situations in the project. The definition of conflict of interest addresses any kind of private interest, be it economic interest, political or national affinity, family or emotional ties, or any other shared interests that may be in conflict with the interests of beneficiaries or implementing bodies. The Rail Baltica project is largely financed by the Connecting Europe Facility instrument. Thus, there is an obligation upon states to take all necessary measures to prevent conflict of interest situations. In the Rail Baltica project, this issue is further regulated in the Interbeneficiary Agreement signed in 2016 and Common Procurements and Standards and Guidelines prepared in 2017. Moreover, Rail Baltica's contracting scheme agreement signed in 2016 determines that members of the Supervisory Board and Management Board cannot participate in procurement commissions. Effective implementation of conflict of interest rules in practice is high on our agenda for all parties implementing the Rail Baltica project. Now, the shareholders' agreement states that RB Rail's main mandate is to design, construct, and market Rail Baltica. But we also have the obligation to act as the project's main coordinator as well. In 2017, apart from the daily duties to ensure CEF applications, annual status reports, monthly reporting systems of the official project implementers and beneficiaries, RB Rail started to actively participate in the Rail Baltica task force convened by DG Move. With the responsibility of ensuring cross-border interoperability, we have also established concrete dialogue with Poland and Finland by both meeting and coordinating the project implementation activities with their national authorities and meeting with their business communities, potential suppliers and customers. It's important that this project has high visibility in Europe to ensure supplier participation in our procurement processes. Thus, we've presented the project at major events such as the Riia Central and Eastern European Forum or Trakai or Tampere fairs. The Rail Baltica team, encompassing all implementing bodies, also decided to build international recognition together by organizing the Rail Baltica Global Forum in April in Riga, with the next one expected in April in Tallinn. Our participation at essential European industry events permits us to not only learn from similar project experience in Europe, but also to share our experience by presenting the Rail Baltica project, for example, at the G7 Transport Ministers meeting, or sharing experience at the International Project Management Association seminar on megaproject implementation. Last but not least, we focused on developing internal expertise by building RB Rail's own team. In 2017, a full-fledged management board was approved by the Supervisory Board. Today, we have a pan-Baltic team with 37 employees in 3 countries. Our project has the positive tendency of increasingly attracting Baltic experts working in other European Union countries. They are exploring the possibility to return to living in the Baltics. To date, we have 2 experts who have returned from Sweden and Finland to work on Rail Baltica, and soon a 3rd from the UK will join us. By the end of the year, we have access to an expert pool of 22 whose services we can use for mainly technical tasks of the project. And finally, 2 RB Rail branches in Estonia and Lithuania have been instrumental in ensuring the coordinator's role in all three countries, including the possibility for the Estonian and Lithuanian employees to be employed by RB Rail in their respective countries. Finally, let me turn to RB Rail's tasks in 2018. This year, our main focus will be on design. We will finalize the work on the comprehensive preliminary technical design in 3 countries. This means putting together the national studies for creating one consistent railway corridor. This year, we will also complete the detailed technical design tendering process in Estonia and partly for Latvia and Lithuania. For some sections of these countries, detailed technical design will already be underway this summer. All detailed technical design will be completed in 2020. Secondly, we will continue work on delivering the main studies, the operational plan, the long-term Rail Baltica Global Project Business Plan, a series of technical studies like visual guidelines, climate change impact assessment, and others, supplier market studies, commercialization studies, and a BIM strategy. We will finalize the work on the feasibility upgrade study for the section Kaunas-Palamonas to Lithuanian-Polish border. At the moment, the supplier has submitted the second interim report of the study, which provides a comparison of alternative options on this section for reaching speed, capacity, and other requirements, meeting in full the global project definition, technical parameters, and relevant TSIs. The next step with this study is to choose 2 options for a more detailed analysis. Finalization of the report is expected by the end of the first quarter of this year. We will share more information on the study when the final report is ready and approved. A second key study, namely the infrastructure management study, is planned to be completed and presented to the Baltic beneficiaries this summer to be able to make a decision on this issue by the end of 2018. Our third area of priority this year is ensuring the global project's sustainable financing. This means concluding work on the CEF3 grant agreement, continuing to promote the project to ensure an intense co-financing ratio in the next multi-annual financial framework together with the beneficiaries, starting to implement the long-term business plan, and devising a long-term RB Rail financing model. Finally, we will continue to strengthen cooperation with Finland and Poland to address our future business clients, to develop the Rail Baltica digitalization and innovation strategy, as well as to focus on possibilities to have more resource-effective project implementation. As in 2017, we will continue work on seeking economies of scale wherever possible, thereby ensuring less resources spent on this project. Thank you very much for your attention on the global picture of 2017. You will now have the opportunity to hear from our shareholders and national implementing bodies, and with that, I give the word to Arenijus.
Thank you for very explicit overall presentation. Good morning to everybody. We have had a good presentation about global project implementation, and now I'm going to speak about activities, complete activities in Lithuania in 2017 and 2018, plans for 2018. So my presentation will be short. I have only 2 slides, but I'll try to be very concrete. So perhaps first of all, we can divide Rail Baltica project in Lithuania into the 3 main geographical parts. So one part is from Poland border up to Kaunas. The second part is from Kaunas to Latvian border, and the third one is from Kaunas up to Vilnius. The implementation in all 3 different parts are different, but activities are going on in all 3 parts of Lithuania. So first of all, but it was done in 2017. Firstly, we can speak about the part from Poland state box to Kaunas. So actually, we have at the moment trains running on 1435 millimeters railway gauge. So I'm very happy about this. And further constructions is started. We have a line connecting Kaunas Central Station, and the constructions at the moment is going on from Jese Rokai up to Palemonas, a first section of this bypass of Kaunas. So in 2017, this constructions works were started and successfully going on. Moving to the second part from Kaunas to Latvian border, we are very proud that we have approved a special plan last year. It actually led us to move forward with implementation of the project, and the land acquisition procedures were started from the section from Kaunas up till very Latvian state border. So it is very important in order to have further activities going on, technical design and construction works. And in the section from Kaunas up to Vilnius, we are doing investigations about the best ways how to connect Kaunas and Vilnius, and we'll be ready to present these solutions to our partners to discuss. So the main achievements in 2017. Now about the plans for 2018. So we are going to start constructions from Kaunas Central Station up to railroad terminal Palemonas, and we are going to have these connections in 2019, and the rest part of connection up to Palemonas from Rokai will be started as well. So we are going to complete this section from Poland border up to Palemonas terminal. The works will be finished not this year, but second year, next year. And section from Kaunas up to Latvian border. The contract for land acquisition is signed, and we are going to have a land ready for the next stages of implementation of this section this year, at the end of this year. So that means that we really can move to the next stage and to design and to construction. And it was mentioned the design tender is already launched. And regarding the section from Kaunas to Vilnius, we will present, as I mentioned before, we will present to our partners and colleagues the solutions of Kaunas-Vilnius connections, and I think that we will have a decision how Vilnius and Kaunas will be connected. So it's about Lithuanian activities implementation. And now I would like to pass the floor to my colleague Agnis and move to Latvia.
Thank you. So good morning, everybody. It is, as always, pleasure to speak about Rail Baltica, and not only with the audience in Latvia, but in 3 Baltic states, so that we are sharing all the same information. So my name is Agnis Driksna, and I'm with Eiropas Dzelzceļa Līnijas national implementing body from the year 2016. I'm head of Development and Cooperation Department, but with the project I have been since 2014 working for the Ministry of the Transport as a Rail Baltica project manager. Looking back at this time period, what actually have been done with the Rail Baltica, I would like to emphasize a few main milestones that we have reached already. So first of all, in Latvia, the environmental impact assessment and spatial planning processes have been completed in 2016. Furthermore, Rail Baltica have a status of national interest object in Latvia. So it means that this is in Latvia as well as in Europe, a national and European project. Furthermore, preliminary technical design have been completed across the whole Latvia. And in more specific objects, as for example Riga Central Station, the international sketch design competition was carried out in 2016 in order for Rail Baltica to comply with Riga's historical requirements and have an architectural vision for the station itself. We've been also informing about Rail Baltica project Latvian society, and as you can see in 2017, 95% of Latvian people was informed about the project, and 89% of them was supportive for this project. Further in my presentation, I will concentrate on three main things. First of all, Riga Central Station. Secondly, Rail Baltica Station at International Airport, Riga. And thirdly, supporting actions, for example, land acquisition. So Riga International Station will be connected with the Rail Baltica European railway line. And this shows the truly mobility and integration of the infrastructures. It's been said that up till now, Baltic States and Latvia is treated as an island from the perspective of transportation. With this connection to airport, we will change this, and it means that, for example, from Tallinn to Riga Airport, you will be able to travel in 2 hours, and for the first time, Europe will become closer than ever. Of course, it also involves challenges what have not been done in Baltic States before. For example, in Riga International Station at the airport, it means that we will put the train on the esticade in order for not to stop or blocking the operations of the airport. If we speak about more concrete time schedules, first of all, in 2016, very end of it, we launched the procurement for technical design. We received 5 international proposals. Evaluation process went on in 2017. We also received a complaint in Public Procurement Office. After evaluating the complaint, Public Procurement Office allowed us to continue with the procurement. And currently, we are in the second stage of the procurement. And tomorrow, we actually are expecting the proposals for the technical and financial solutions. We are planning that contract for RIG's technical design will be signed by the middle of the 2018, and technical design will be completed by the end of 2019, so it means that construction we will be able to start in 2020 with the completion date up till 2022. Meanwhile, from 2017, it's at the end of the last year, we also started the land acquisition process for territory of Rail Baltica in Riga International Airport. We are planning that land acquisition will be done before the technical design is completed, meaning end of 2019-2020. Moving forward, the second large, or I would say the most complicated object in the territory of Latvia in sense of Rail Baltica, and I can say that also in all the Rail Baltica project, is a Rail Baltica Riga Central Station. It means that Riga Central Station is existing and fully operational right now, but with Rail Baltica coming into the station, we have to combine 2 railway systems. First of all, existing one, and secondly, the European gauge, Rail Baltica. Also, what is very important is that we cannot stop or significantly interrupt the existing railway traffic. Secondly, we have to plan that Rail Baltica will be built not interrupting fully the city, because Riga Central Station, it's like a backbone and the central multimodal hub in Riga, Latvia, and I would say also in Baltics. Thirdly, it is very challenging because it's also a historical center. So it means that all the preparation works and design have to comply with the face of the city itself. Just to give you an example, for example, from Riga's Historical Society, we received a requirement that, for example, a new bridge, what we are building across the river, cannot double the existing railway bridge, but at the same time, it cannot differ from the existing railway bridge. So this is kind of a challenging task for architects to come up with such a solution. If we speak about time frame, then currently we are moving forward with procurement. Secondly, we have received in 2017 3 building permits. One for a station itself, second for rails and tracks, and thirdly for a bridge. Right now we are gathering technical requirements from the different institutions, including Latvian Railways, Riga Municipality, cities, transportation, etc., etc., and we are preparing for phase 2 of the procurement, technical specifications, in order to receive technical proposals and financial proposals. We are planning that design and build contract for all this section will be signed in 2018. Technical design completed by 2020, and construction of the Riga Central Station would be carried out from 2020 till 2022. In a parallel, from 2009 to 2017, we started the land acquisition process, which also will be completed by the 2020 when the technical design phase is completed. Just to remind a little bit about benefits from this Rail Baltica project and not only station but the core benefits. It means that Riga and the Baltics, first of all, will be integrated with European railway network. And it means that, as I said at the beginning, one of the main tasks is that we are becoming closer to the Europe, that we are not anymore an island. Of course, it will bring, for example, in Riga, 2 banks of the river Daugava will be connected with a new railway bridge, including a bridge available for pedestrians. The Riga Central Station will become truly multimodal transport station itself, according to the best European practices. The mobility, accessibility will improve. It will be improved. The connection between capitals of the 3 Baltic states will be improved. All those benefits, you can see that Rail Baltica is not only about the rails. It's about bringing people closer together. And what is most important, that one of the reasons why we started with the central station as a first object was to prepare a city for a 2026 when the Rail Baltica will be fully operational. To conclude my presentation, I would like to inform you also about the land acquisition processes in Latvia. So it means year 2017 was very important in order to prepare for this process. First of all, we made a land acquisition plan. Then we made 2 procurements. First of all, we procured independent real estate evaluators. Secondly, land surveying services, because not always all the land is necessary, one land lot for the Rail Baltica. There could be only part of that necessary. So that's why land surveying services are necessary. And at the end of the 2017, we started land acquisition. Land acquisition, we started in sections. Basically, not all Latvia, this process have started. And the first sections was in Riga Central Station and in Rail Baltica Station at the airport, because they are connected with the technical design and construction activities. Of course, land acquisition have to be completed by 2020 together with the technical design. So as you see, we have quite a challenging time ahead, 2018 and 19, for a technical design phase and land acquisition. from me, it's thank you very much for attention, and I would like to give the floor to my colleague from Estonia, Riia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dear press, dear interested people into Rail Baltica. A warm welcome also from my side. I joined the Rail Baltic Estonia dynamic team 1 month ago, and my Latvian colleague, referred to the goal we have that Baltics is not an island anymore, and that is exactly the problem Rail Baltica will solve. But I would go beyond that and state a clear vision for me, and why I joined this project is I want to have the situation that the people can travel so convenient, and the traveling by railway is so natural as it is right now in the most European countries. And I think with this clear vision we can go into concrete actions and plans to realize this. The year 2017 has been a very important year in the Rail Baltica project. The main issue was laying a political ground to this project. In the beginning of the year, the 3 Baltic prime ministers signed an agreement for Rail Baltica, and on 19th of June, the Estonian Parliament ratified the agreement of Rail Baltica as first of the Baltic countries. And some days later, the President of Estonia also proclaimed the Rail Baltica agreement. So that means the political will was shown, and was shown very strongly, in order to go into detailed and more detailed analysis and surveys, which have been carried out already a long time ago. So this project is, as you all know, going forward already for several years, and many manpowers have been invested into that. What has been done in Estonia else in 2017? What concerns the environmental surveys, the strategic environmental assessment was finalized and also approved by the Ministry of Environment. This survey, or this environmental assessment, was stating over 1,000 mitigation measures, how we can make this project and this construction so close to the nature that the impact can be minimized. And as with this assessment, the work has not been finished, but it's an ongoing process. That means the environmental topics are always following the construction and the planning and the designing process. And a good example for that is that we have carried out and finalized a study about the technical feasibility study to avoid fences on the Rail Baltica track. And the study concluded that on 1/3 of the track in Estonia, the fences can be avoided, which means the fences can be replaced by voice signal, and therefore we can make this construction much cheaper as we can avoid fences and also the wildlife trespass breaches. And soon, the next days, the next weeks, also this study will be introduced to our Latvian and Lithuanian colleagues in order to share all the knowledge we can gain in one country to another country, so that at the end the cooperation work will bring something for the whole process. What else we have done in 2017? In preparation for the construction works, we have carried out a study of security of supply and scarcity of raw material in Estonia. The study has shown that most of the needed construction material, like limestone, dolostone, sand and gravel, are available in Estonia and are sufficiently available in Estonia. And what we have seen as well is that the mining companies have already activated, and they are carrying out geological studies about the mining possibilities in Estonia. As for passenger terminal in Ülemiste, which is the starting point for Rail Baltica for passenger traveling, we have seen in Estonia the first tangible constructed results of Rail Baltica. During this year, the tram line was constructed and finished, which connects Tallinn downtown, Tallinn city, with the future Ülemiste passenger station, with Tallinn airport, which enables people to move convenient from the city center to Rail Baltica start to airport and vice versa. And this was a great success, and showing already that traveling is getting more convenient for everybody already today. This was for passenger traveling. As for freight carriage, the starting point of Rail Baltica will be Muuga Harbour Freight Terminal, where there is an ongoing study about the technological and spatial need of Rail Baltica multimodal freight terminal at Muuga Harbour. This study is ongoing and shall show the possibilities and opportunities for this terminal as a starting point of Rail Baltica. The study will be finished soon, but the preliminary results of it show that the freight amount can be increased by 5 to 10 million tons with the Rail Baltica project. This was us for the year 2017. Now to the plans of 2018. As already mentioned before, the year 2018 we are going over to the new phase of Rail Baltica, which is the design phase. And so it happens as well in Estonia. We have 17 procurements planned for this year, out of which 4 of them are related to technical design. 2 major ones of them are as you see on the picture, the technical design of Ülemiste passenger terminal, where all the pre-studies have been carried out and all the functional needs we have found out with a study which we have recently conducted. And now we are going over into technical design of the building and infrastructure. And the second station in Estonia, the Pärnu passenger terminal, will also go into the phase of technical design by this year. So beside of those procurements and technical designs, also the process on the track and country planning is continuing. Within the next days, the country planning and the final track will be approved by authorities. And also this year, the land acquisition will start. In Estonia, the land acquisition will be carried out by Land Board, and we have just the week before had a good meeting with the people of the Land Board. In Estonia, 650 land plots have to be acquired from private or municipalities. And the people from Land Board have held already over 250 discussions with the landowners, stating or finding out what are their interests in selling the land, or what are their interests in related to their land plots. And very positively, we can remark that around 60% of the people are interested into changing land. That means they are not interested into money, but they want to keep land in their area, and they are ready to exchange land plots with the state-owned land. Another 20% are interested into selling the land to the state, and the rest has not chosen yet which way they will go. So we are looking forward for a very successful process on land acquisition as well. So, thank you for your attention. These were the next steps in Estonia, and now I'm handing over to Ilse again for the Q&A.
It's okay.
Thank you very much
Thank you.
to the speakers. I want just to note that all the presentations are available already online, so if you're interested, you go to railbaltica.org and you will find them. Another thing, what I would like to note is that we are very pleased and honored that we have received the statement by the Katrin Trautmann, the North Sea Baltic Tank Corridor Coordinator, who has also expressed her views on how we have implemented the project. So all the journalists here can have this statement. It was at the registration desk. All the other journalists who are participating online will receive that by email, and it will be also online. So now we'll open the Q&A session. Those who are participating in slide, I will remind you that the code for the slide is #L056. And now I will give the floor to the audience here. Please tell your name and which media you represent before stating your questions. So please, the floor is open to you. Yes, please.
DNS News Agency in Lithuania, I just wanted to ask about Lithuanian Railways. Will Lithuanian Railways be able to participate in tenders, infrastructure project tenders, as a company? And will Lithuanian Railways be able to create their own tenders? And if they are, could you tell me how many they will be able to do compared to RB Rail?
Maybe you want to take the floor first, Arenijus.
Okay, thank you for the question. The Lithuanian Railways is not somehow going to participate in the tenders. The Lithuanian Railways is implementing body of the project activities. So that means that Lithuanian Railways as such is not going to participate in the tenders launched by ourselves. It would be nonsense. And regarding the second part of questions about what will be done by implementing bodies or what will be done by our coordinator RB Rail, it is signed a contracting scheme and it's agreed the split of the activities. It's such so-called free boxes, and implementing bodies is going to launch tenders for construction activities.
So you're saying
Just
that the
microphone, please. People online can hear what you're asking.
Thank you. So you're saying that Lithuanian Railways will be able to create the tenders for infrastructure projects in Lithuania. Am I understanding this correct?
Yes, for construction.
Let me maybe follow up on this question. In the entire project, but with Lietuvos geležinkeliai in particular, it is important to have strict policies on conflict of interest, whether the procurement is international, regional, local, whatever nature of it is in Rail Baltica. We are at the end of a longer process between the countries, and frankly also with the European Commission based on the new procurement directive and with their advisory hub to have clarity sort of rules of engagement with anybody concerned in the project, any entities, that we maintain our policy on refraining from making sure that we manage conflict of interest properly. Arenijus quite correctly stated that it is very clear in the contracting scheme and the basic formula. You can also find on our website what the tasks are for each of the implementing bodies at this point in time. If you speak about how many tenders per se, frankly, we will be releasing a number in early February from RB Rail. It will be 20 some odd. I won't commit to the exact amount of procurements that we intend to undertake in 2018. I am sure there is also a certain number that will be relevant in Lithuania, but we need to make sure that we all agree on what needs to be done for the project in the next year or 2 years. This is a long-term planning process.
Thank you. Now we have a question from Slido. Sander Unden from BNS Estonia is asking the question. Even though the CBA technically complies with Commission guidelines, do you at least recognize deficiencies with assumptions, such as non-changing technology? So I will give the possibility of Baiba probably to you to reply on this.
I think regarding the CBA, I would say the following. First of all, in any project of such magnitude and complexity, you must remain aware of the inherent limitations of long-term economic modeling, which is exactly what the CBA does, which inevitably involves making assumptions in the presence of a high degree of uncertainty. And as we know, things change over time. Therefore, making long-term assumptions about the future must be based on a rigid and consistent methodology and avoid any inconsistency stemming from applying extreme assumptions regarding a certain parameter of modeling and at the same time ignoring effects of assumptions on other parameters. Given that due to the high degree of complexity and uncertainty, it's impossible to make objective assumptions about the future behavior or values of certain parameters, The general approach suggested by the European Union's CBA guidelines stipulates that in most aspects of the analysis, the reference scenario should be neutral and reflect the information that is known up to the point of the preparation of the forecasts. And I think that that has certainly been honored by Ernst & Young and Atkins. The CBA's CAPEX is a rough estimate primarily based on preliminary design submissions from the three beneficiaries with RB Rail cost unifying adjustments. And in the course of the consolidated preliminary design, one of the tasks is to review these CBA CAPEX assumptions. I should add that with the different assumptions in the CBA, all of the different studies that I've mentioned, be they the long-term business plan, operational study, infrastructure management study, all of these studies will contribute to looking at the information in the CBA in more detail. So we're more than happy that we have such eagle-eye individuals involved in the CBA numbers. Nothing is ever carved in stone, and we need to use the CBA as a platform for discussion to move on. I should also add that it is important, also relevant to CEF financing, because the European Union needs comparable, they need to be able to compare apples to apples, basically, between different studies and between different numbers to validate whether or not the investments and the commitments to be made are relevant and comparable within their own framework.
Okay, thank you. Any question from the audience here?
I have one more. Talking about taxes and the tenders, how are the taxes going to be split? Let's say if a project is being is going to be in Lithuania, the infrastructure project, will the taxes go to Lithuanian government or any other government? And the same goes for Latvia and Estonia.
To be very honest, I hope I give you now the correct reply. Got me?
The principle is the same in all three Baltic states, and it's connected with the technical design and construction. And the principle is very simple. The technical design and construction, all the taxes stays in the country where the technical design and construction is conducted. So basically all the construction, no matter who is actually the contracting party, whether it's in Lithuania, Latvia or Estonia, taxes are connected with the territory.
So if a project is in Lithuania, the taxes go to Lithuania?
Yes,
then taxes go.
That for sure.
Exactly. Exactly. For construction, it is so.
Okay. The next question we have again from Sander from Estonia is construction costs have increased in Baltics due to economy growth. Rail Baltica will also add demand. How sensitive is project for 10, 20, 50% increase in costs?
This is indeed a very good question that has been posed in many different fora. It's both the question of cost as well as availability of manpower, frankly, when in the years that we will be constructing. We will be evaluating this in future studies and seeing what the impact may or may not be. I will not comment on any percentages because we frankly don't know that, but it needs to be analyzed. Having said that, what is clear is that the more that there are consolidated tenders for construction in particular, the more effective, most likely, the prices should be. Because you'll have higher negotiating power and a higher, let's say, a higher threshold of looking at how to control the costs or at least negotiate the costs going forward. But this is an issue to look at in the future.
Riia, yes, please.
Just an addition. This year we have planned to carry out a construction logistics study where exactly these these questions will be pointed out, and so that we can exactly plan and spread the construction activities into sections and into several periods in order not to overheat the market. But we are for sure already in discussions with construction companies so that everybody has enough time to prepare itself for upcoming activities.
Please, any other question?
I have one more. Talking about Lithuanian stretch that is already built between Poland and Lithuanian border and Kaunas. It needs to be rebuilt for it to be able to have more speed, 240 kilometers, if I'm correct, for passengers. Now, what Rail is going to do about this stretch, and how is it thinking to rebuild it, and how much it will cost for the taxpayers?
First of all, let me clarify the purpose of this study. It is to independently analyze the feasibility of and measures required to upgrade the existing 1435 millimeter gauge railway line from the Polish-Lithuanian state border, Kaunas and Palamonas, to achieve full compliance with the global project definition specified in the RB Rail shareholders agreement and other key technical parameters. It's not only speed. There are a whole row of other specifications that are beyond speed that deal with double tracks, with safety, with many other issues. So it's not about only speed. We expect to, with the upgrades, to raise the standard of the existing line to traffic codes P2 and F1. I can give you the other specifics of the global project standards as they are also established now in the design guidelines. These global project standards have been defined in the Joint Declaration of Riga, signed by the ministers of Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Finland, and the European Commission's Commissioner of Transport on June 22nd in 2015, and will be agreed and compiled in the Technical Standards and Specifications Manual of the Rail Baltica Railway. Now, once this study is completed, there are 8 alternatives that the supplier has evaluated. There will be discussion, of course, with the beneficiary, and it's actually important that all 3 beneficiaries discuss how to upgrade, when, and what the cost implications will be. Right now, there is no decision on it. There are estimates on that, and until the report is finalized and until the beneficiaries have all agreed on the way forward, I will not comment on this any further. Maybe
add some aspects. Actually, we have 2 facts here. One fact that we had a constructed railway line for T35, and we have a train on it, we have passengers, we have some cargo, and we have something on Rail Baltica at the moment, and I think it is good, and it is a benefit for the whole of the project. The second fact is, as it was mentioned, that the agreed parameters is 240 double tracked and electrified line. So we agreed to reach these parameters, and we agreed to travel at 240 kilometers per hour from Tallinn up to Poland and even in the Poland territory. And we have quite good discussions with Poland as well for usage of existing line and about the speeds in the future in the Poland. So as it was said by my colleague, that upgrade study is going on. There are different alternatives and solutions how to deal with these 2 facts and how to reach a speed and agreed parameters in this section from Kaunas till Poland. And there are different opinions, and experts has several alternatives proposed. but perhaps it would be better to speak about these alternatives when the interim report will be finalized and agreed by beneficiary and all parties.
Let us be clear. The line that has been built is defined as Rail Baltica 1, and it complies with a single track of European Gauge 1435. All other parameters need to be improved, and the Rail Baltica 1 does not comply with the global project parameters. We hope that the final report will be completed, as I said earlier, by the end of the first quarter, and that all beneficiaries will agree on a way forward. But clearly, there is also engagement from the European Commission needed on this, because it is part of the total project. They are 85% investors in this project. So how the way forward will really be a decision by all the beneficiaries and the European Commission going forward.
We have actually reached the time limit of our press conference. If there's still any question you want to ask, this is the last opportunity, the last question.
I have just a follow-up.
Maybe somebody else has? Sorry. If not, then yes, of course.
Yeah. Last but not least.
Okay.
Yes.
Talking about the Lithuanian stretch, as you said, about the report, and that is going to be finished in the first quarter of this year. Do I understand correctly that you are hoping that the decision on the way forward, talking about the stretch, is going to be agreed this year?
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for participation. Yes, on 10th and 11th of April, everyone is invited to participate at Rail Baltica Global Forum in Tallinn. So see you then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.